Welcome to part 3 of this renovation of the Bush VHF 64 radio, and I'm going to carry on with the recapping and also try and resolve this loss of volume which has occurred. So let's just keep pushing on and see what progress I can make.
So I put the EL84 valve on my tester, and I just want to check everything in that output stage just to make sure that everything's as it should be. One thing I have noticed, I've already tested this, there's no shorts. Want to bring the voltage, the grid voltage up to minus 8.3. So I'm trying to get into that linear zone near the maximum. So there we are. So about 15.7. Just take this up another volt or volt less. That's 20.9. So it's a GM of about 5. I've got 250 volts on the anode and screen. That's where the data sheet is measured against as well. It should be drawing about 48 milliamps at that particular point. It's not, and the GM should be 6.7. It's about 5.3, which isn't too bad. What's interesting though, I've hit the gas button, and that anode current should stay the same. It's changing significantly, so that is cause for concern. I think what I'll need to do is get another EL84 just to compare the readings, just make sure this one's okay.
Time to get another EL34 valve on the tester, and what's important about this one is that it's drawing about 40 milliamps from an anode voltage of 250 volts and a grid voltage of -7 or so volts. So it's roughly within specification, slightly down, but not too bad. One thing to me is when I hit the gas button, it's roughly draws the same amount of current, so it's certainly not a gassy valve. So at least I've got a replacement valve to go forward. I don't think it'll fix the problem, but at least I do have a decent valve going forward. Well, luckily for you people, I have lost quite a bit of video around the recapping process. It's either corrupted or lost the audio. It's quite a long-winded process anyway, so I've probably done everybody a favour really. So we'll pick up this video after the recapping process. At that point onwards, I haven't fixed the audio, loss of audio yet, and I've kind of broken my own rules in the sense that if a problem, I change a capacitor and I check things. If there's a problem, they'll go back, and I did do that. I went back and checked the capacitor at the time when I lost the audio, and it was fine. What I should have done probably is carry on doing some troubleshooting around there because something else has changed, but I haven't done that in this circumstance. Yeah, I've gone through the whole recapping process, but now the focus will be to try and get that audio back.
So the unit's been recapped now. You can see all the nice yellow capacitors which seem to sit there very well. Those really replaced the Hunt's moulded paper capacitors. I replaced 18 of those in total, and every single one was faulty. The ones that did register leakage were very leaky, but most of the time they were registering about 35 picofarads for something that should have been 10 nanofarads or 40 nanofarads. So as expected, all of those are gone. So although it hasn't fixed the faults, it has improved the radio, and it means it's a little bit more stable in my mind, really, in terms of getting the components in tolerance.
What is actually going on with this audio loss? And I needed to do some basic troubleshooting. I've actually found the problem and fixed it. I'll just explain what I did. There's two large green power dropping resistors, Y1 resistors. You can pick them out very easily. I was actually getting the 300 volts on this side. Looking with these schematics, you get the reference voltages there. When I went to, at this point here, which is just side of the resistor, I was getting 298 volts rather than 245, which it should be. And then looking at the other power dropping resistor, I was getting about 296 volts rather than 200 volts. That tells me that this side of the circuit wasn't drawing any load, wasn't drawing current through these resistors to drop the voltage by this amount. So the next thing to do was actually check here at this point, and I was getting 0 volts. So on FM mode, that should be about 180 volts, but I was getting I was getting 0. So this is a direct connection. So that's a piece of wire effectively. So it tells me that that is broken or open circuit straight away. And that was easy to check, just doing a continuity check between that point and the resistor here. It was open circuit. So a close inspection, wiggle around, and I found the wire actually broken. So it's just a matter of resoldering that wire or fixing that wire and restoring that power.
Okay, so that's the power restored. So let's see what we have. Puts the signal generator back in, and I think I've got the volume down. That's nice and loud now because I've actually got the volume on the signal generator very low. That's actually a lot louder than what it was before I did the recapping, so I certainly in my own mind I've made a difference there. Let's go on to medium wave. Well, that definitely works. Tuned into Talk Sport. That's the only station I can get. It needs a little bit of cleaning up on the volume pot there. That's dodgy connection. And I'm not getting anything on shortwave. I'm not sure if I need an aerial for shortwave. I'll check that out. VHF, I won't be able to test until I put the antenna back in. So hopefully that's going to be good as well. But this is really encouraging. What that tells me, obviously, the AM RF stage is good, which means that's the first intermediate frequency stage for the FM as well. So I'm pretty much certain everything downstream of the radio is good now. Just want to check out long wave. I just want to check out the FM and just make sure those are working on the shortwave as well. That volume pot is dodgy, so may need to find a replacement for that. And we're definitely making some progress. So the shortwave is working. And all I've done is improvise an aerial to plug into the back, and it just sparked into life. I can pick up a station. So that was all that was wrong with that. I might actually put a proper antenna outside, actually, because I think that will be quite interesting to do. Other than that, I think we're in really good shape. Okay, so now that the shortwave is working, what needs to be done on the radio? Well, the FM is not working, so I need to obviously get to the bottom of that. So I'll check the signals around the FM box, and I'll probably need to take the FM box off, open it up, and do some troubleshooting on that. I did check the ECC 85 valve, which is the FM valve, and it's measuring really strong. So I think that's a really good valve. It's really well balanced as well, actually. So happy with that valve. So I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of the FM problem. The other thing I want to do is change the resistor, the cathode resistor on the EL84. That's measuring at 175 ohms, and it should be around 150 ohms with a 10% tolerance. I know it's a little it's close, but it's a little bit high, so I'll change that as well. Other things I've noticed is the magic eye. It's not working. I think the valve's okay, because when the voltages were a little bit unstable, I could see glowing from that valve. So I think it's fundamentally okay. That magic eye circuit's a simple circuit, so hopefully I'll be able to do some troubleshooting on that and get that fixed as well. So fundamentally, those are the things that need to be done. And then once it's electrically all working, be going back down to doing the dial cord. The suspension around the tuning capacitor and FM box is all rotted out, so that needs to be replaced as well. So I'll be doing that. Other than that, I think we're in really good shape.
I've done some work off camera around the VHF just to try and get on top of this problem. So what I did was, first of all, just check the voltages around the VHF box. They were all okay. And at that point, I put an oscilloscope on the heptode grid of the ECH81. That's where both the AM and the VHF feeds in via the switch. And I was getting a signal on AM, but I was not getting a signal with the VHF on the scope. So that alerted me to a potential problem there. So obviously I'm going to check the switch. S6 is the switch which controls the VHF path. So I took the opportunity actually to clean all of the switch using contact cleaner and check that for continuity, and the switch looked to be okay. So at that point, I made a decision, wisely or not, to open the VHF box to see if there's an obvious problem in there, and just do some basic troubleshooting in there, measuring component tolerances. You've got to bear in mind it's all quite tightly packed in there, and I do recommend in the service manual that you replace that as a whole. But at this point, I'm going to go in with it in situ and just check the values. The other thing I will need to do eventually is actually take that box off, because I do need to address the suspension issues around there. Or the suspension is there to stop mechanical vibration affecting the performance of that box. So it's kind of sat on rubber seals or rubber gaskets. They've all rotted out and it's very loose. So that will need addressing anyway. So there will be a point where we'll take that box out anyway, just to address that particular problem. I'm going to leave part 3 here. And just to recap on what I've done, I've changed all the Hunt's moulded paper capacitors, 100% failure rate on those. All the wax paper capacitors I've changed as well. And the electrolytics, they're all leaky as expected. So that's been sorted. The audio problem's been repaired, fixed. And now the radio is a lot stronger in terms of its audio output. And obviously the long wave, medium wave, short wave are working, so that's real progress there. I do have the issue with the VHF, and to that end, I do have a chance of getting a Bush VHF 62 as a donor radio. That's not working. It's pretty beaten up and probably beyond repair. The point about that radio is that the VHF box is the same. It's identical to the one that's in the Bush VHF 64. And also the valves are identical as well. So it's a very similar design. So that gives me a spare set of valves if I need them, if those work, assuming they work. Also the IF cans as well, both on the FM channel and the AM channel, are identical. So I've got a spare set there if I need to use them. Likewise, the FM discriminator is the same as well. So it makes real sense to get that radio. It's only about £30, so I think it's worth the investment, really, in what it could give me back in spare parts for supporting this radio. So let's wait for that to arrive, and let's see how or what progress I can make in part 4. And thank you for watching. I do appreciate the fact that you do watch these videos. Thank you very much.